It's wonderful to show up and be present from a very new version of myself. It's been a year since I've done a live and many years since I've created regular content on YouTube. And I am here dedicated to those who are experiencing grief, internal destabilization, who may or may not be in a rebirth. Welcome. My name is Leela Black, formerly Lysa Black. I renamed myself this year on my 42nd birthday and have sojourned all of 2024 in the most monumental grief of my life. And this information that I'm sharing with you today is what I was given. And I am so grateful for the answers to my prayers and for the presence of some wise, benevolent force that supported me to navigate my internal world. And I've formulated 4 stages to the rebirthing process, which is the unraveling, the reluctant shedding, the release, and then the renewal. And this is something I've now done hundreds, thousands of times over the last 2 years. And I offer it for you because when we are filled with an ocean of grief, there is a current to our grief that we are not in charge of. If you were a productive, capable, responsive, fulfilled request and completed the task kind of person before your grief, you will know the utter shock and destabilization of landing in a space where you don't know who you are anymore. And this can be the loss of a job, the loss of a home or a place that you were living. You might have had children leave home, a partnership or a friendship disintegrate. Whatever the grief was, the death or loss of a pet or a loved one, it doesn't need to be an external death that signifies that you are allowed to grieve. It is the absence of something that you treasured and valued, and that absence procures this experience of grief. So while I'm here with you, I want to go slowly because these are very tender, very delicate pieces to talk about. And as I stand beside you, I want to offer the idea of us co-creating sanctuary together. And so I've even got this, beautiful candle that I have lit so that while we're together, you can allow yourself to take this time to simply be heard and seen and create safety for yourself. So if you are new to the idea of sanctuary, you can just go ahead and create a circle around you, whether that's over your head or imagine one completely encircling and holding your whole body. And here at the beginning, I want to invite you that due to the nature of what we'll be talking about, you will feel your feelings more and you will be more present to your inner world. And so if you want to hold your heart and or hold your tummy, I want to invite you to really create that safety so that you can be present to yourself right now. And so as we allow ourselves to fully arrive here in the body, I want to invite you to really allow yourself to feel what you're feeling during our time together. And I hope that my presence, the compassion that I'm showering both myself and you in, and the grace that has led me here can move through this to reach you wherever you are. So as we slow down and we really still the moment, I want to relay some of the most important things to understand about the rebirth process. And I would like this to be an ongoing series. So any questions that emerge for you, please feel free to drop them in. There's also a resource that I have that I'm preparing to be available for you so that you can be held by what held me, which is 4 songs, 4 embodiment practices, and 4 narrations that allow you to make the transition from one stage to the next. And so some of the foundations of the rebirthing process is to understand that when something external is removed from our life, whether that is a loved one or a pet or a role that you're playing in the community, for example, it's not just the loss of that external thing, but the part of us that connected, communed, operated, facilitated, or did that thing. Okay, so say there was a relationship, say my horse. Not only is my horse gone, but the part of me that communed and connected with my horse is also gone. Okay, she's not accessible anymore because the place where she connected and went is no longer. And I say my horse because it was one of my first most significant experiences of grief, because I had such a profound bond, such a deep sense of belonging with my beautiful horse that we received as an orphaned foal when she was just a few days old. I saw a premonition of her and had a vision, and was so delighted when I met her in real life, and she was with us for 3.5 years. So I'm speaking into my first personal experience of grief and that enormity of realizing she wasn't anywhere. Like I'd kind of look at the different paddocks and she wasn't there. And I use that example so that you can feel with your heart the devastating cavern that left within me to not have her present and accessible anymore. So my grief is meeting your grief. And I'm once again slowing down to really allow you to acknowledge the portion of grief that is presenting for your heart right now. And the reason why I want you to name it is that very often we keep this a secret from ourselves and others. We don't like to acknowledge it because we feel that it will somehow cascade and spill onto everything, when the exact opposite is true. That when we can actually acknowledge the grief and name the loss, then it allows us to be with that experience so it doesn't cascade into every moment. And so, in the absence of what is no longer in your life, the version of ourselves that was connected to that is also gone. So, in the example of a loved one passing away, the version of you that had a relationship with that person now is also gone. So, not only are we grieving that loved one, but we're grieving the version that we were in relationship with them. And I think this is really often missed in our grieving process, that we not only long for that person, but we long for who we were as we connected and correlated and interacted with that person. And so I'm hoping that this will normalize for you the monumental destabilization that happens when we lose something of significance, as well as a part of ourselves that was deeply significant for you. Grief always points to the enormity of value that we gave to whatever it was that is no longer. For me, grief is an emotion that communicates how much we truly value something. And so once again, pausing and breathing deeply, really slowing the moment down is a very powerful way to commune with our grief. And this has become a way of life for me, because there was so much that was changed, so much that was lost, so much that was stripped and taken from my life, that I now have to pause regularly, because we are now moving with an ocean of grief. We are now concurrently experiencing life from a place of having a constant swell and a current of movement that we are not in control of. And so I really want to offer so much compassion for you, that this will be unrecognized, that this will be difficult for others to correlate with, to see, to communicate, to connect and converse with, because you are a new creature. And when we become new, the other person also recognizes the loss of who we once were. And so, grief is not an isolated experience, as we're discovering. It's something that has this multiplicity of expressions. And I want to validate how significant it is. And therefore, we're moving through the world with an ocean of grief that is now a constant companion. And through this series, it's my intention to relay and share and offer what I've been given to be able to understand what the grief is pointing to, the rebirth process that it initiates within us, and how we can navigate that process so that we too can find all new becoming. My final point for you today is that in this experience of rebirth, we're not losing everything that we were. We're actually losing all of the performative parts that sought safety, love, and belonging by correlating and interacting with something that gave you something you really needed. And so I say that to once again invite you into a deeper level of compassion and care, that when we lose a previous version of ourselves, we're not altogether gone, but we are being stripped back to our elemental, fundamental nature. And for those of you who are familiar with Clarissa Pinkola Estes, Women Who Run with Wolves author, she talks about, the bones of our existence. And these are some of the beautiful things that I collect, like feathers and sticks and my cat's whiskers. And, bones always stand out to me. And bones are a reflection of our essential nature. They're very hard to break down. They're very strong. They're very robust. And so in our process of rebirth, as we're acknowledging what is no longer present, we're also given an opportunity to return to the bones or the essential components of who we were. This is who we were under 10. So as certain parts of me fell away, I have rebirthed so many times, and renaming myself this year has just felt like a perfect full circle moment of what I know I'm here to bring forward. That poetry was something that I always wrote as a little girl, and so writing again has been an aperture back into connection with that essential part of myself. Dance and movement, wandering through nature, singing. These are the parts or the bones of who I always was that we have the chance to reclaim in our grief process. And that incredible destabilization where you've got this current that you're moving with all the time, the more that we can reclaim some of these bones of our essential nature, I want to encourage you to really see, know, and understand that that will create a new level of stability, a new level of safety. And what we're forging is actually a deeper sense of belonging with who we have always been. But it is a much more vulnerable version of you. And so I bring my vulnerable version of me. I made sure I didn't script this. I made sure I didn't have a plan, so I could really meet the moment and be with you and allow the presence of my heart to meet the presence of your heart. Very few people I've discovered in this world have the capacity to sojourn with their own grief, let alone ours. And so this is my offering for you, that parts of me over the last 2 years have wanted to avoid and shed this medicine of rebirth that I am, because it is not a path I would have chosen. It's certainly not a path that I like. However, it is a beautiful and magnificent path, and I feel so deeply grateful to be called. There is a path here that you too are being called onto. And there will be some reluctance in accepting that, which is why I'm confiding it in you. I hope that the tenderness and the softness that I've created for myself can reach you through this video, that you too can have a moment in sanctuary, a moment to be seen, and a moment to slow down. And this is the offering from who I've become after wishing that someone else could have shown me the way. I would have longed to hear a voice guide me through something that has been so excruciatingly painful, so intensely destabilizing, and ever so terrifying. Nevertheless, it is such a beautiful process that actually allows all of who you have always been to safely flush to the surface and move through your present body. I feel like the little girl that I always was now gets to live in this body and move it as she wishes and create the life and the experiences that she always yearned for that she didn't get to have. And thus, truly grieving is a process of actually coming back to life. I feel so fortunate to connect with you. From my heart, I send my blessings, comfort, so much softness, and so much encouragement to continue along your way. I am going to close this time by blowing out our candle together. And anytime you find it difficult to be with your grief on your own, please light a candle and allow the candle to hold space for you. Honoring you, thank you for being here. I feel so grateful to spend time with you.